I'll call the June 25th, 2024, 3 p.m. session of the Henry County Board of Supervisors to order. I'd like to welcome all of our visitors. Remind you that if you want to address the board specifically, you must sign up 7 days in advance of any of our regular meetings to be put on the agenda. The county administrator is the contact person for the board. However, the public may address the board under the agenda item matters presented by the public that we will take up as agenda item 17 this evening. Again, welcome everyone. Prior to starting our agenda today, we have a few guests that would like to introduce. Mr. Wagner, would you be first to introduce someone that's sitting close to you that is not just a guest but working this summer?
The county puts a high emphasis on preparing future generations to come to work in local government, and particularly through our internship in the summer. And this summer we're fortunate to have 3 individuals working with us. In our information technology department, Zach Prescott is filling a slot there. Sydney Brummett is working in our Commonwealth Attorney's Office. And with me today we have Ms. Hannah Hughes, who's working in county administration. She's sitting behind me if you want to stand up momentarily. Hannah is going to spend time in each county department to learn about each department and contribute to their operation during the summer. Hannah is a rising junior at Virginia Tech, a Hokie, studying political science, and a graduate of Magna Vista High School. So we're welcome her to the meeting today and glad to have her on our team for the summer.
Great.
You may recall, sometimes we hire interns who never leave, and sometimes they turn out to be county administrators.
All right, great. Thank you for that introduction. We also have as guests today Robbie Campbell, and who is the coach of the Patrick and Henry Community College girls softball team, along with college president Dr. Greg Hodges. Welcome to you all. With that same introduction, we're going to move agenda item 13 prior to taking up the board's business today. Mr. Wagner, will you give us a little background on this, please?
Yeah, you know, I'm an avid softball fan, so I got to be careful to keep my calm here as I read this. But on May 25th, 2024, the Patrick and Henry Community College softball team won the National Junior College Athletic Association Division III National Championship in a 10-inning, 6-4 victory over defending national champion North Dakota State College of Science. The national championship is the first of any Patrick and Henry sports program and the first by any community college in Virginia. Staff has prepared a resolution for the board's consideration honoring the team's accomplishments, made up of many student athletes, and Coach Robbie Campbell and Dr. Greg Hodges of the team are here today to accept the resolution.
Ms. Buchanan, I believe that you have a resolution for the board's consideration.
I do, Mr. Chairman. This is a resolution honoring the Patrick and Henry Community College softball team on winning the National Junior College Athletic Association Division III Softball World Series. Whereas the Henry County Board of Supervisors recognizes the value that Patrick and Henry Community College brings to our region. And whereas part of that value comes in the form of athletics, as sports develop a sense of community pride amongst the players, fellow students, and the broader service area of Patrick and Henry Community College. And whereas the Patrick and Henry Community College women's softball team has brought an immense amount of pride to their community after winning the 2024 National Junior College Athletic Association Division III Softball World Series Championship. And whereas this national championship is the first for any sports program at Patrick and Henry Community College and the first national championship in Virginia Community College history. Whereas Athletic Director Brian Henderson, Head Coach Robbie Campbell, and their staff have instilled character and confidence in the Patrick and Henry Community College student athletes and have done an outstanding job with the Lady Patriots softball program. And whereas the Board of Supervisors is grateful for the pride and recognition that the Patrick and Henry Community College softball players, coaches, and staff have brought to their school and our community. Now therefore be it resolved on this 25th day of June 2024 that the Board of Supervisors congratulates the Patrick and Henry Community College softball team for its outstanding achievements, and the board extends its best wishes for continued success in the future. And this is signed Jim Adams, Chairman of the Henry County Board of Supervisors. Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt this resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. I'm going to ask Ms. Buchanan and Mr. Dillard if they would present this resolution on behalf of the board, and ask Coach Campbell and Dr. Hodges if you would come forward to receive this and offer any comments that you wish to.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to offer comments, but I'm going to actually let the presentation be made to our head coach. He deserves the credit, and I'm here to be the cheerleader.
All right, great.
Hey, I just want to thank you for just having me here today. We appreciate everything that the county does for us and provides for us. Without y'all, we couldn't have done it. These girls have allowed me to ride with them. I give them all the credit. I mean, they're just Class A1 acts in the classroom. They're 4.0 students. They get it done there, and then they come out and do it on the field as well. And that's what we were looking to do is to try to provide education for them, and then try to provide some athletes for them, and just help them become better young ladies in the future. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our best wishes to you all. Thank you for being here, and what it says about the program, what it says about the young ladies that have worked hard. And we know now the responsibility for them is to not only hold that honor high, but be mentors to others. It's always good to have someone to look up to, and you all have raised the bar in that regard. Our congratulations.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. You've got your trophy with you, correct?
Yes.
Hold it up and let us look at it.
Need a picture of that.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. Jim, what about the ball cards? What if we did do that? Let me ask, that's what I'd like to know. I think they deserve their own baseball card. Softball card, excuse me. Softball card. And Brandon does an excellent job with those.
Coach, we'll see you again next year about the same time.
That's right.
That takes us to back on of our regular business. Agenda item number 5 is items of consent. What is desire of the board is in regard to the items of consent?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the items of consent.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor is 6-0. Jennifer. Agenda item number 6 is Mr. Grindstaff.
Deputy Treasurer Tiffany Hairston is here to make the report today.
All right, we'll have that report at this time. Thank you for being here today.
Hello, I'm Tiffany Harrison. I'm here for Scott Grindstaff in delinquent taxes. For personal property collections as of May 31st, 2024, we have collected 89.74% of the 2023 personal property taxes. We have collected $427,355.84 in the month. For real estate, as of May 31st, 2024, we have collected 94.17% of the 2023 real estate taxes. We have collected $284,764.89 in the month. Since January 2024, TACS has collected $431,156.94. For debt set-off, we have received $74,624.60 on June 14th of '24. The total for 2024 is $365,590.95. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the report. We won't offer the opportunity for them to ask you a bunch of tough questions. All right, thank you. Agenda item number 7, we'll have an update from the Martinsville Henry County Economic Development Corporation. We have with us Mark Heath. Mark, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. You have our monthly update for June. It's a little bit abbreviated this month rather. We've got a short month and a lot of things going on. But you can see in business development, the site visits that Valley Hardware has made during the month. There were 4 of those. In marketing, you've got the unemployment rate is attached for the month, and it's consistent as it has been throughout the last year, and even trending downward a little bit in the last month in April. Spencer Johnson and myself met with representatives of the VEDP. Our state organization has been in town, particularly to judge, or specifically to tour the Patriot Center and Commonwealth Crossing to make sure that they were up to date on our sites and buildings there. Our Spencer Johnson has completed our this year's wage and benefit survey. It's done every 18 months. It's the best information that we have to present to clients about wages and benefits in our particular areas, the freshest information that a client can get. It's been very helpful for us. And you see there were 37 responses this year, which is about average, and the companies that we most needed participated, so it's a good report again for this year. The Virginia Economic Partnership is very interested in the VF facility and the ICF building. Both of those, as you know, will be coming on the market soon. VF there's only 2 buildings in a state of that size, so we're getting a number of calls about that, and we're working with their real estate brokerage about when that facility will be available, and we would expect that we'll have a lot of activity. And Spencer's been working with Sheila Scott, as he does every year, on updating information for the enterprise zone reports. Tourism had 13 site visits. You can see the number of calls. They've had 250 activity guides. We're distributed among 7 businesses. The Dick and Willie continues to be used a lot. Quarterly newsletters have gone out. The big event in the last month was Rooster Walk. Some of our staff was on site for 4 days with our mobile unit that we have, this center unit, and a lot of information was gathered. 15% of the attendees came from more than 200 miles away, 78% traveled 50 miles or more, and our staff gave out 320 of our logoed water bottles to folks that were here, and we've added, or they have added rather, 190 email addresses to our database to get information about the community on a monthly basis. Workforce development, our photography and social media graphics have been completed for the recipients of the briefcase of local companies that were awarded 1 grants in that round this year. Photography at the Old Farmhouse Buffet, doing an on-site visit, and we're doing training for our new Visit Market website, which will roll out by the end of July. Much more active and up-to-date visitor and tourism information, and next month we'll start on our Yes Martinville site. Sarah Hodges attended a consultants forum, and we've got an upcoming meeting with AEP to get our staff up to date on all things dealing with electric power. I've also given you a copy of our 24 annual report, which is the 20th year that DDC has been in operation. You receive this electronically, but sometimes it's good just to have a report in your hand. There's a lot of information in this report. It's kind of amazing. The consistency that we've had over the last 20 years has been, I think, one of the highlights. And the other thing is how fast 20 years goes by. It really goes by quickly. And we're looking forward to the next 20. Most of us are looking forward to that. And one thing I would call your attention to is the chart that shows over this 20 years, manufacturing wages in Martin County have risen almost 78%, which is one of our chief goals, to bring in better, higher paying jobs. So that's one of the things that the whole community should, and our entire team should be particularly proud of. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, I have a question. Just congratulations on all this good report. As I'm out and about, I am trying to provide information about the average wage. And you told me, I think, and I want you corrected, that the average wage for a manufacturing job is over $25?
It's in that range.
In that range?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure is.
Thank you.
Yeah, when we started a long time ago, it was a lot less than that. Yeah, but
And-
that's a good thing.
And Mr. Lee, this may not be a question directly for you, but just, I've asked it to several different folk, but I think about, we have the race twice per year. And I want to know, how can we better capitalize of these folk who are coming into the community? You know, is there some type of festival, some types of concerts or things that we can do so that when folk come here, because if they're coming here with the vehicles they're driving and they're here for a week, and I know they're eating out and things of that nature, staying in hotels, but are there things that we can do to better capitalize off of those 2 weeks and, to better the revenue that we make during those weeks? It may not be something you can answer on the spot, but something to think about. And I also mentioned that to Mr. Campbell, and he mentioned there used to be a concert or something years ago during race week.
Well, there are a number of things. And you can ask me anything.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll have a decent answer. But I would think one thing we can do is support Henry County Parks and Rec. They're bringing people in, playing in tournaments. They're coming in for the fair every year. There's a lot of things that people are coming in for along that. Our sports tourism, the events at Smith River, a lot of those people come out of town, and they bring, to your point, they're buying gas, they're buying meals, they're doing things like that.
But we want to make sure when they come here, like there's a particular, like if there was a concert and all of those race folk went out to the concert and they, bought the tickets and they hung out at the concert or some type of festival or something, and, they're leaving a little extra money when they come here. Is there things that we could think about on that level?
We'll give that some more thought, but it's a really good point, a good idea. When they come, we want to make sure we capture all of the money we can get. I mean, our definition of tourism are people from outside the community come here, they spend their money, and they go home. And then they come back for other events, but it doesn't tax the resources of the community. But it's a very good point. It's one that our tourism folks are involved in. They probably would be able to answer your question a lot better than I can, but I really do think Roger and his staff do a wonderful opportunity. The things going on at the marina, around the lake. There's 750,000 people a year that come to Philpott. And now that we have the marina there, we're capturing some of that with food and gas, which we were not doing in the past. That's been a great thing. The campgrounds here draw lots of folks. So I think we're doing the right things. We just probably need to do more of them and be a little bit more consistent in what we take advantage of.
Any other questions? While we have Mark up front, in case any additional explanation, we'll take up agenda item 7A. Mr. Wagner, will you give us a little background on that, please?
So in August of 2023, it was announced that Press Class Incorporated, located in Commonwealth Crossing Business Center, would expand its manufacturing facility in Ridgeway, investing $155 million and creating 335 new jobs. As part of the announcement, the county, the Harvest Foundation, and the Commonwealth of Virginia committed to providing performance-related incentives to the company. There are 2 performance agreements that must be approved by the board to solidify the commitments by all parties. In the local performance agreement, the county is committing up to $1 million and Harvest is committing up to $2 million for the project. In the Commonwealth Opportunity Fund agreement, the state is committing up to $2 million for the project. In both agreements, half of the funds are tied to capital investment and half is tied to new jobs. And the contracts with the companies require the companies to reach predefined benchmarks before any of the funds will be released. So you have those agreements in your packet for your consideration. We ask for you to approve them so we can pass them on to the company. And construction is underway, well underway in Press Class.
In regard to these performance agreements, the board has had an opportunity, as Mr. Wagner said, to review these. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the local performance agreement and the Commonwealth Opportunity Fund performance agreement regarding the Fresh Glass Expansion Project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Is 6-0, Jennifer. Agenda item number 8, 2024 assessment update from the Commissioner of Revenue's office. Mr. Wagner.
So Commissioner of Revenue Tiffany Harrison has asked time on the agenda to provide you with an update of some of the things going on in her office as well as the 2024 assessments. Okay.
Hey, excuse me for being nervous the first time I said it. So I just want to give a quick update on our office. I wanted to start by Dean Hodge. He has worked with the county for 17 years. He is retiring. Friday is his last day, so I wanted to thank him for his service. He's been an assessor. He's served us well in his time, and he's done really great training our new group of assessors. We have 3 new people that we were able to hire in April. So thank him for his service. Just a couple of things that we've done in the office as it relates to personal property. We have implemented the depreciation in Munis. So typically that's manually entry of all business equipment and calculations. So that took from, I think, May of last year until November. So now that should be very quick now. We should be able to do that in just a matter of a couple of months. So that's a big project. We also have implemented CABS, which is a business auditing tool for businesses that don't report their equipment. We are able to see what type of equipment businesses have and what the value of that is. So that's going to be very beneficial because, throughout the years, people don't report as much as we would like them to. Also, too, training. I enrolled every member of our staff into career development programs for whether it be commissioner or an IAAO for certifications for appraiser. So everybody by the end of the year should have at least attended one class, which is pretty big for our office. We've done a lot of cross-training, just getting people up to speed in different areas of the office to kind of help with our service to the public. That's been going great. So far this year, we've received letters, phone calls, people just out in public saying that they have noticed an improvement in the office and our service to taxpayers. So that's pretty big. So I will go into the reassessment update. So this year we have done the 2023 deeds. That's the first step in the reassessment. Is you have to get all your deed transfers in, your splits, your wills, all of that. It was around about 3,600 of those transfers that we processed this year. So that's a lot. We've worked over 10,000 parcels, whether it be updates, transfers, field data collection. We've been in the field for the past month, picking up new undiscovered property throughout the county, so that's been going well. We've sketched in our training. We've done sketching as well for our parcels. So that's because we got those transfers in, we are able to continue with a reassessment, but unfortunately, we will not be able to make the 2025 deadline of January 1st. So I am asking today for an extension until January 1st, 2026 to complete this reassessment, and also to open it up for bids from a contractor or a appraisal service, just parts of the reassessment, not the full thing. So here in the presentation, it says Code of Virginia 58.1-3252. We are allowed to extend it 5 or 6 years, depending on our population. As of Sunday night, the Economic Development has our population at 49,926 people. So we just make the cut to be able to extend it. We do need to kind of move a little quickly on this because August 1st is when this needs to start in order for us to make our deadline of 2026. If there's any delays or anything like that, I will be asking for an additional extension until 2027, which is something we really do not want to have happen. Our public service is going to take a big hit from our sales ratio study. This current year, it is at 72%, and it's going to drop down to 61.11%. So that's where our revenue comes from our public service. So we don't want any more further delays than we need to have. We are looking at about a 45% average increase in assessed value, once the reassessment is complete.
Could you explain briefly what public service is and how it's taxed? Because it's like cell phone towers and type of thing.
It's like railroads.
But the state does this.
Yes, the SEC, the state, or the Department of Taxation, they actually do the assessed values based off the sales ratio study. So they send us what those values are, and then, we tax it according to, our rate. So it's gonna drop, like 11% in assessed value in 2025. So I don't know what that means to revenue, but, because we just deal with assessed value in our office, but, so that we don't actually go out and physically assess those.
Say that again. Did you say that again?
For public service. So we don't assess it in our office. That comes from the state
Right,
or
okay.
the Department of Taxation, and they use the sales ratio study to get their value, the value that they send us, and then we take that value and we get the revenue based off the rate. So, yeah. So it'll be an 11% drop in 2025 for the public service assessed value. I don't know what the 11% means as far as our rate is. I'd have to go look at our book, and I wish I had that for you today, but I just came in from a class not even an hour ago. But I can get some numbers to give you a more accurate, number as far as what the loss would be. But it should be pretty significant. It's not gonna be a small loss at all. So, and the ratio, I will say, in other localities has dropped a little bit as well, who don't have a reassessment, so we're not the only one. I don't know if it's dropped as much as 11%, but, there's, one of our neighboring localities is also taking a little hit on their public service.
So if you do reassessments more often, so we're at 4 years now, but if they come in at 2, that could greatly affect this public service
Yes.
number.
Yes, yeah. So, you do it every 2 years. Right now, we're at 72%. I think the highest locality in the state is at 96%. I believe that's Salem. So that's pretty good. It's hard to get better than that. The idea is to be as close to 100 as you can get. But they're the best. The locality, I believe, is at like 94. So we're projected to jump, to have a massive increase if we can, get this reassessment done, especially by an outside contractor. Like I said earlier, our staff is brand new. We just started most of our assessors in April. It can take you quite a while to understand your sales, understand your values, what to put on the property. So, I don't have any confidence that we would be able to accurately put values on a property and definitely defend those values in an appeal. I don't think we would be successful there. So that's why I'm asking for an outside person to come in and do it, but also so we don't continue to lose revenue by us having to kind of learn it and stuff on our own. If you do appeals, your values aren't right. You have to start dropping the value from there, and then you open yourself up to all kind of lawsuits and different things that can happen. So we definitely don't want to go down that road.
Excuse me, by law, are you allowed, if there is something that's incorrectly assessed, to correct that?
Yes, you can. In our appeal process, they would contact our office, and then, bring their case to us, and we have our case. If us two can't come to an understanding, then it goes to the Board of Equalization. If we still don't agree there, then it goes to circuit court. Some people can just go straight to circuit court. You don't have to come to our office to change it. But even if they did that, if we put that value on, I not sure we would know what to even change it to.
Well, not only in, let me follow up a little further with a question, not only with a contested assessment being lowered, but if it was somewhat obvious to the Commissioner of Revenue's office, whether you all were doing it or whether a contractor was doing it, that something was undervalued, are you allowed to go back and raise that value?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we can raise or lower, if we did it or if a contractor did it.
Thank you.
You know, we have a public hearing tonight, and it's going to be in reference to real estate taxes. Some of the concerns I've heard is, you know, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but if a tax increase took place and then a reassessment followed that, you know, that's like a double hit. And you mentioned that there could be the possibility of the reassessment not being taking effect in 2026, but it could be even further down the road.
If we don't contract it out, yes, or start by the August 1st date with the contractor. Because we do have our system, Vision, our camera system, our tables and stuff, we have to get all of those redone. Just to give you kind of a time frame of how difficult it is to do these tables. Vision has been working with another locality since February of this year, and just as of 2 weeks ago, they're starting to make heads and tails of their tables. So it's way too much of a task for us to be able to do in office, because like I said, you know, we don't understand the valuing portion of it just yet. So us just putting in numbers places is just not the way to do things. So that's why we have to start by August. We can kind of get everything set up, do all our field work next year. But what we assess value, it doesn't mean that people will pay more or less taxes. It all comes down to the rate. You know, if the assessed value of a house was, $100,000 assessed value, if you have a rate and they pay $10, $100, $1,000, that's not our office.
But if the assessment of the house goes from $100,000 to $150,000.
Well, yeah, it will
Okay.
increase a little bit because of rate, but we can't dictate that based off of what a rate is. We don't get into the rate.
No, but what people saying that would take a double hit, because if my tax rate goes up and the value of my property goes up,
Yeah.
I'm getting hit twice. And I guess my question would be, what would be the latest that the reassessment could take effect? You mentioned 2026 is your goal, but you also mentioned that you could do something every 4 years.
Yeah, well, by state code, we would have to, 2027 would be the latest.
2027, okay.
That's the latest, but that's, you would have to vote on that now based on your population. If you go to 2026 now, make sure your population goes over 50, you have to deliver in 2026. You can't.
And we're very close to that
Right, we're
number.
we're just right under 50, so, I'm saying 2026, but,
And I guess, so Mr. Wagner, because we have no idea what's going to happen tonight. If a motion is made to extend the date for the reassessment, could that motion include no later than 2027 as opposed to a definite 2026? Or do you have to have a definite?
I'll let your county attorney to speak to this.
Okay.
But it's spelled out in an ordinance.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can't, you can't give an extension. It's, you just change your ordinance about how frequently you will.
Okay.
Like, we used to be 2 years in this county, then we switched to 4 years. And so if we're going to change it, there's a few options we could, and I think we could report back at the next meeting. But you have to have a public hearing and change it like any other ordinance. Just like the tax rate, you have to have a public hearing. You can't change an ordinance until you have a public hearing. And so the earliest, and we have to advertise the public hearing. I mean, we can get a memo back with some options about like going forward, but that'll be next month. And I guess the question is, do you want to advertise a public hearing for next month to do this, or do you want to see the options first and then decide? But that's, you can't just you can't have a motion tonight to do what she's requesting. You have to change the ordinance.
no, you can't vote on it tonight.
Ms. Harrison, you said the average increase, and again, you're estimating, is a 45% increase in the assessed value, which
Yes,
you
ma'am.
did explain the value and the cost may be different, but you said a 45% increase in the value.
Yes, ma'am, on average.
Yeah, do you consider that very significant also?
Yes,
It's very
yeah, it will be a significant increase, 45%.
But
And what
Tiffany
else?
does the assessments. The board of supervisors are responsible for setting the rate. So it may or may not change what people pay in taxes.
Right,
Yeah,
that's
I got
what-
you, but the 45%, I think when our voters and our constituents out there, and they hear a number like that, we need to be able to explain that to them as well.
Yeah, it's just the assessed value, just average. I mean, some people might be higher than 45%, some people could be lower. It just depends, but, yeah, that's what I was thinking about the rate was, the rate could be 40 cents, and then you still, you could break even, I mean, you could do whatever you need to do with the rate, but we don't determine what people pay for their assessed value. Our job is to make sure everything is fair and equitable. We have a comparison study, neighborhoods that we have set up in Vision to make sure every brick ranch that's similar that has, around about the same assessed value as another, and so forth and so on. So, that's our job to do that. What percentage the cost goes up is not determined by us.
Right. Is there anything else in your presentation before we direct possible actions by this board?
Well, I did just want to, which, I don't know if we have time, but, we did do some research and just we're trying to just basically show you how much work and stuff that we have to do as far as this reassessment, and let you see how massive the load is for us. But, if we don't have time, it's okay. Basically, essentially, what I've said is what I've asked.
Mr. Wagner, from what we've seen and heard, and for the reassessment to start by August 1 as part of this statement, what actions are recommended for the board's consideration?
So what I hear is absolutely not possible for it to be effectively done or even done before December 31st, 2024. So really, your only action is, I guess, to allow the commissioner the additional 1 year to get the assessment done as she has requested. And to do that, it would require a public hearing to amend the ordinance, saying you would do the assessment every 5 years. My initial thought is shorter is better from an operational standpoint of government, particularly when you have growth. So I would hope that if you extended it to 5 years and as soon as that 5 years over, you would go back and adjust it back to 4 years so we can get back on a regular cycle, or even less, 2 years, like it used to be when we were having growth in the county. So, yes, I think for your action, if the board wants to entertain what Ms. Harrison has asked for today, we'd have to schedule a public hearing for next month to amend the ordinance to 5 years. And
One time.
right, well, you have to do it, and then you'd have to.
You'll have to amend it again.
Yeah, and then the second piece is, I think we gotta have some serious discussion about is, Ms. Harrison also talked about hiring a private contractor to do this. It's not cheap, and I don't know what it's gonna cost, but there's some tough questions we need probably to ask the commissioner. How much it's gonna cost, the bid process, those types of things, because I'm sure she's gonna wanna come back and ask you all for some one-time money to implement that cost, implement that plan.
And if this happens to change, say we do change it to 2 years down the road, and you get your staff trained, and is that something that they would be able to do that load every 2 years? Or will we be looking out to get a company to do it every 2 years?
No, so that's my goal. I personally believe we should do reassessments every 2 years, at the most. So we are getting, a new software, program. It's called Mobile Assessor. It's allowing us to go out in the field. We can assess a property fully at one time. Right now, we have to do a lot of, double entry. So we have to spend a few days in the field, a few days in the office, so I think that will speed us up. The statistics on that they tell you is it speeds you up by 4 times the amount of parcels that you can visit. We've been doing field work for like the past 3 weeks or so, and I'm very impressed with how many parcels we've been able to hit without it. So I'm confident that, you know, with that software, we'll be able to do them every 2 years. So that's my personal goal, but, you know,
Okay.
And so you also believe that it's better to resource out assessors, correct?
This one assessment, it's gonna be parts of it. It's not gonna be a full assessment. Our office will handle residential's appeals, which is 54,845 parcels, I believe, that we will be visiting and doing data entry work for. The industrial commercial, no one in our office has any experience doing the industrial commercial. So we will get training with that. I'm asking also to be included in the bid for us to be able to know how to assess those parcels. And then it's always the table setup, which is a one-time thing. You know, our system is just so massive. It's hundreds of tables. It's intertwined, you know, the setup for how we get our cost modeling and stuff done. So that's just a one-time cost. So there wouldn't be any reason to have to do this again.
Okay, you've heard an explanation of where we are and what is recommended to get to where we want to be. What is the action that the board would like to take?
I have another question. With what Ms. Hairston said, so this coming year, revenues will be at best level when it comes to
You can't look at revenue.
real
You have to
estates.
look at assessed value.
Assessed value,
So
okay.
the assessed values would only be changed based on new construction. So, for example, if you own a house that's had the same value for the past 3 years, this means that it'll have the same value for at least 5 years.
Unless it's a new house.
New construction gets a new assessment. That's correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Any other questions?
I don't necessarily have a question, but I do want to make a comment, and I think Ms. Hairston's been very transparent about herself and her staff, and I think we have to commend you for that and commend you that you'd rather seek outside help, get the training to make sure that things are done properly, because at the end of the day, if they're done improperly, then the lawsuits and different things come up, or something's assessed and, you know, the company finds out that they were overcharged and we're having to, you know, pay those folks. So I do commend you for that, and also encourage you to let us know what we can do to make sure your staff gets the training that they need, so that moving forward, you and your staff, you know, can do these things and, you know, the assessments, and, but, you know, do appreciate the transparency.
In regard to setting of a public hearing to have an ordinance change, moving this to a 5-year period, what is the desire of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and to identify it, it will be at the 6 p.m. Of our July meeting. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Is 6-0, Jennifer. Ms. Harrison, thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 9, Villa Heights Community Housing Project presentation for the Planning, Zoning, and Inspections Department. We have with us our Director of Planning and Zoning, Mr. Lee Clark. Mr. Clark.
On a more positive note, let's talk a little bit about a new project that the county wants to take on. Let's get right into it. Call it the Villa Heights Housing Project, but this slide here shows you something that you're somewhat familiar with in years past. What we did as a locality is we cleaned up an area of Villa Heights using a certain section of the existing county code. And what we did in that regard was to clear quite a few structures from the property, and I'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. But what we're going to do is we're going to capitalize on that, and we're going to turn that into 16 new site-built homes. In my opinion, this is going to be transformational for that community. What was there for a number of years had created an environment there that wasn't healthy for the community. And I think what we're going to do is going to be transformative and actually a big positive for that. What we're going to actually be building there are new affordable single-family homes. These pictures might look somewhat familiar also, because this is what we cleared out of the way and took possession of those properties through a judicial process, where now we own these lots and we're going to use them to our benefit now. To give you an idea of what we're looking at doing, these are a few examples of the types of houses that we're investigating putting on that property. We're doing more than investigating. We're doing some cost analysis on these. I've talked to quite a few contractors about them. But what we're going to put out there are going to be a mixture of 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units. This is an example of one of the designs of a 2-bedroom. That's another design of a 2-bedroom unit. That's an example of a 3-bedroom unit. And there'll be a mixture of those on the properties. In this slide, what I want you to do is pay attention to the numbers that we have there. I think some of you hopefully have seen these numbers before. They come from the 2021 census estimates. Basically, what you're looking at here is roughly 7,500 people, and that's the bottom number there, that live and work in Martinsville and Henry County. There's roughly 12,000 people, according to the census, that choose to live here but work elsewhere outside of our boundaries. And then the final number on the left there, just over 8,500 people travel into Martinsville and Henry County every day to work. These are the people that we'd love to attract to not only work here, but also live here. We believe that the housing studies support this concept, and what we also believe through those studies is that there is a lack of the type and price range of the housing here that people desire. And that's exactly what we're going to try to capitalize on, is try to attract those 8,500 people that live outside of our area and try to encourage them to live within our boundaries. Our partners that we're going to be working with on this, you as a Board of Supervisors have already invested $228,000 for the acquisition and demolition of the dilapidated structures there. Virginia Housing, which used to be called VHDA, has invested $20,000 so far for the site planning and the surveying that we're stepping into immediately to clean the property lines up on those lots that are out there now. Their property lines are skewed. There are actually about 30 lots that we're going to be reducing down to 16 buildable size lots, normal size building lots. The West Piedmont Planning District Commission is going to be partnering with us. They're going to actually be the ones holding the ownership of these lots for us while we do the development. That's just a legal maneuver that keeps the county from acting like a housing authority, which we are not. But West Piedmont can hold those properties for us while we develop them. And then finally, the Harvest Foundation is going to be a significant partner in this. And the details of that are yet to come. Next steps, what we're going to be doing and moving forward with this. There's one more property that we just acquired. You all helped us be able to do that within the last month. And we're going to be clearing that lot here probably within the week. And we're immediately after that going to be surveying those 31 lots into 16 normal size, normal dimensioned building lots suitable for new construction. We'll be finalizing all of those building plans. Those are some of the building plans that we're looking at that I had examples of up there just a minute ago, but there's more. Start meeting with contractors that we're gonna get some price estimates, feedback, ideas of the best way for us to do this. From a value standpoint, I've got some good ideas I know that will work to make these units more affordable. And then the final aspect of that, what I plan to do is bid these out. We'll probably bid them about 3 at a time, get them constructed, and then put them on the market for sale. We'll be using a realtor to do that. It's the most efficient way to do it. And, you know, the county and West Piedmont and Harvest and Virginia Housing, we're not in this to make money. None of us are in this to make money. We're in this to invest in our community and create a better housing stock and a desirable housing stock that we think will meet the needs of our citizens and actually attract creating more citizens for us in this community. The biggest reason why people live outside the area and come into our area to work is that we don't have the type of housing here that they desire. So that's what our goal is here, is to try to create that type of housing that they desire. And the last point I'll make on that is in regards to our efforts already in partnering with private developers, you know who they are, that have developed new rental units, apartments, both in Fieldale, Collinsville, and they're doing the same thing in the city of Martinsville now. And those units are rented up immediately as soon as they're available. And I think that's a prime example of showing where the demand is for the type of housing that people desire. And I think we're going to be able to do the exact same thing with this, is create a type of housing that there aren't contractors out here really creating a lot of right now. Very little, as a matter of fact. And what we'll do is we'll provide that service. So, any questions?
What is the square footage? What does it range with the 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom?
They're roughly in the neighborhood. These are not going to be small units. We're going to try to make these things so they're of livable space. They're roughly between 1,200 and 1,350 square feet.
And you mentioned 3 houses at a time. What would be the beginning and ending, or, no, I guess number of years it would take to complete a project like this?
Well, I mean, the way we plan to do it is to not overextend anything. So the plan is to take advantage of bulk buying in bidding these also. And when I award them out, there's a strong likelihood that I may award 3 at a time to the same contractor. And that way he can bulk purchase his materials, store them on site, and then put in 3 footings, 3 foundations, 3 floor systems, and do all that at the same time. And just the economics of that will make it more affordable. That's going to depend on the market. I'm fairly confident that there is a demand for this type of housing. I'm not wanting to overextend this as far as put in 10 houses or all 16 houses at one time. We're going to do it in in a consistent phased approach. If those 3 houses go fairly quickly, like I think they will, very similar to the way the rental units did that were of demand, I'll decide based on that how many we do next. But you know, I'm not going to rush this. So it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, when you're doing 3 houses at a time, it could easily take 6 months to get those houses in, under roof, dried in. I really don't think they're going to be on the market long when they're completed. So if you multiply that out, it's going to be a multi-year process.
So 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever the market will absorb, however quickly it will absorb it, that'll tell us how quickly to move.
So, Mr. Clark, are we going to start on Stoltz Road, facing Stoltz Road first, or Dexter Road?
Hadn't decided that yet. When we start building the first 3 houses, you know, we're going to do them together. I'm not planning on scattering them around. Again, trying to be efficient with the way we build these. That's something we'll think about,
Yeah.
whether we're going to start
Well,
off.
the reason I ask that question is because, you know, it's going to be a multi-year period of building these houses. You know, the property around it would have to be kept up in order for it to look right in the area. You wouldn't want to build the 3 houses and let the rest of the properties just grow up.
You're right.
You know, so that's something that we got to keep in mind, is these properties got to be kept up.
Yeah, we're going to be taking that on. I mean, this is, the county's not really, we're not looking to risk anything, but it's also not free. You know, county's already got money invested in this to get us to this point. But I think this is the best possible use of our investment that we've already made to try to make that community a better place than it is now. And yes, we'll have to maintain the rest of those properties to keep it desirable as we build it out.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I say that is because, you know, the people in that area, they need that, you know. They need some type of reassurance that we're doing our due diligence and we're not just going to come in and put 3 houses and let everything else grow up.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Loud and clear, hear it all the time.
I have a question. Would there be a consideration for one contractor to build 3 and at the same time another contractor build another 3?
It's possible, yeah. I mean, where I'm going to do this, I'm going to let the market dictate how quickly we go with this. It could take on all kinds of forms. You know, I don't think we're going to be sitting here looking at new construction out there. I think the new construction, when it's ready, I think it's going to go to market, and I think it's going to get sold. I'm pretty real confident of that.
Yeah.
And then how quickly we go from there, I'll let that market dictate that. But absolutely, that's a possibility. You know, I'm gonna bid this out. So I'm going to be bidding with contractors who gave us prices to build these houses. And if the market says that we can move faster and involve more contractors, even at the same time, that's what we'll do.
I thought you might be able to save some money that way in the long run, maintenance, you know, upkeep
Yeah.
and everything, and the cost going up.
And I'm afraid to say this, but I'm thinking like Mr. Bryant. No, I'm just kidding, Joe. But I like what he's saying, because you're putting new homes, but, you know, you also have to make sure that folk are going to move into the community, because it's not just about the home, but it's also the community. And I don't know the community that well, but, you know, are there opportunities to put a park out in that community, so as people move in, if they have kids, I mean, kids have somewhere to go, or there are other things that can be done to enhance the community itself to encourage, you know, folk to move into the community?
I've got some ideas on that too. You know, one good thing about this, one of the good things about this project is these are going to be houses with yards. You know, there's going to be play areas for kids that are their own yards. They're going to own them. But there's some extra properties out there that I have in mind right on the top of my head right now, that if this goes successfully, we may look at doing something with some of that excess property out there. Again, I'm going to let the market dictate where this goes.
You know, when I was young, my grandmother owned a house on Villa Heights. And they had a group of people that every week they would pick up and keep Villa Heights straight. I mean, it was just from one end of VC Avenue to VC Drive to 220, you know, it was just clean. And part of what I would like to see in that also is to actually try to clean up Stoltz Road and to try to get the old houses on Stoltz Road either removed or, you know, and this is something that's entirely not to do with the apartments. It's something that, you know, that I would like to see later on if possible. It may not be possible. You know, we have spent so much money now, it's funny. But it's something to think about because we're going to try to revamp Villa Heights and make it back in a sense about how it was a long time ago. And we can't do that by making part of it look good and the other part remain the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, this by itself, I think, is already, we've done something out there that's transformative. And I think this will capitalize on and further transforming that community.
Yeah.
And I remember, well, it's probably been a bunch of years ago now, we used to have a group come in front of this Board of Supervisors, a different group of Board of Supervisors, but they would appear every few months. And they would talk to, I see Deborah nodding her head. They would talk to us about them wanting to keep that area clean and beautify it. And they put up their own signs, own wooden signs on both ends of the community about
100%.
how clean and beautiful, and they planted flowers around those signs, and they're really, really proud of that community. And there's no reason in the world why that can't come back on its own.
Well, what has happened is those people that had did that, most of those have passed on.
Passed away.
And nobody stepped up to carry the tradition on.
Yep, very familiar. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We look forward to the next update. That takes us to agenda item number 10. We'll take up financial matters, beginning with 10A, an award of contract referencing food for inmates for the Sheriff's Office. Mr. Wagner.
Sheriff Wayne Davis is asking the board to award a contract to J.L. Culpepper and Company Incorporated to supply food for the Henry County Adult Detention Center. This is a reoccurring contract that we've had with J.L. Culpepper for several years now, and it averages about $730,000 per year, so we're asking the board's approval to award this contract.
What action would the board like to take in regard to awarding of this contract?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to award the contract to J.L. Culpepper and Company Incorporated to provide food at the Adult Detention Center.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Is 6-0, Jennifer. 10B, an additional appropriation and award of contract referencing fitness court for Parks and Rec Department. Mr. Wagner or Mr. Martin?
I'll take it.
Which one is taken?
Specific questions.
Okay.
In February, Public Information Officer Brandon Martin updated the board on an effort to fund a fitness court and other broader healthy living initiatives, and the board approved the resolution in support of a grant application for this purpose. As a result, the county has been awarded grants of $50,000 from the National Fitness Campaign and $75,000 from the Harvest Foundation. In addition, the grant requires a match of $55,000 from Henry County. Staff is asking the board to appropriate the grant and county funds totaling $180,000 and award a sole source contract of $110,000 to the National Fitness Campaign for the purchase of the fitness court. And if you don't remember, this will be a fairly large structure located at the Smith River Sports Complex with high visibility from the highway. It will provide our residents with a free app on their phones. If they go to the fitness court, they can pull up exercises that they can do using an app on their phone, and give our residents opportunity to self-improve as it relates to fitness.
Now, this would not be a new construction.
It will be a new construction. It requires it's an outdoor facility, so it's a concrete pad with very weather tolerant exercise type devices and structures. And there's only 2 other of these in the state of Virginia right now.
What kind of time frame are we looking at?
A lot of that depends on the schedule for Parks and Rec. When I spoke to Roger, he said that due to it being so close to the fair, Smith River Fest, his crew wouldn't be able to start till probably after the fair. So it would be a little later in the fall.
So his crew is gonna,
They're gonna do the actual installation of the equipment, but we can do some things like installing the concrete pad before then.
okay.
And to Brandon's credit, he's worked with Boxley to get some very discounted prices on concrete. Roger Adams, Parks and Rec staff, going to do a lot of the labor, so even though we're asking for the $55,000 match, we hope to accomplish a lot of that in kind.
With that, what is the desire of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the appropriation of grant and county funds totaling $180,000 and awarding a sole source contract of $110 to the National Fitness Campaign.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? 6-0, Jennifer. 10C, an additional appropriation referencing vehicle insurance settlement funds for the sheriff's office. Mr. Wagner.
Sheriff Davis is asking the board to approve an appropriation of $40,000 received from vehicle insurance settlements. The funds will be used to repair existing vehicles.
What action would the board like to take in regard to this?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the additional appropriations of $40,000 received from the vehicle insurance settlement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. 10D, transfer appropriation referencing expenditure overages for various departments. Mr. Wagner.
As you know, we only have a few days left in this fiscal year, so staff is coming to you asking to approve a transfer to cover projected expenditure overages in various cost centers. The most significant overage is $400,000 related to the cost of providing inmate medical services at the Adult Detention Center. In addition, the Children's Services Act program fund is projected to be $180,000 over budget. And there are also overages in the cost centers of repair and maintenance of street signs, software for the assessor's office, and vehicle repair for the planning, zoning, and inspection department. Sheriff Davis has suggested using funds from vacancy savings to cover the ADC medical expenses. And staff recommends using unspent funds in employee benefits, legal services, and fuel to cover the other overages. The total amount of the appropriation is $627,000.
In regard to this transfer appropriation, what is the desire of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the transfer appropriation totaling $627,000 to cover projected overages.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. 10E, an additional appropriation referencing U.S. Department of Transportation Thriving Communities Grant. Mr. Wagner.
Staff is asking the board to appropriate a $90,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation's Thriving Communities Program. The grant will fund an active transportation plan, which is sometimes called a bike pedestrian plan, at a cost of $75,000, and to promote the county trails at a cost of $15,000. The grant does not require a local match, and the plan could perhaps open us up to other grant opportunities for building trails and outdoor recreational opportunities.
What action would the board desire to take in regard to this additional appropriation?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the additional appropriation of $90,000 received from the Thriving Communities Grant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just have one question.
Yes, sir.
Has it been determined what sites the funds will be used to enhance or to create?
So the $75,000 would only develop a plan that would identify our existing resources, where there are gaps in facilities and trails and those types of things, so we can apply for an additional other grant.
And then the $15,000 will be?
Marketing promotional materials related to outdoor walking and pedestrian
Okay.
stuff.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. 10F, an additional appropriation referencing unsafe structures and property maintenance. Mr. Wagner.
With only a few days left in the fiscal year, the board has $28,000 remaining in its contingency fund, and if you're interested, staff has prepared an appropriation allocating these funds by district to the unsafe structures and property maintenance line items.
What is the desire of the board in regard to this additional appropriation?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the additional appropriations of $28,000 from the board's contingency fund to the unsafe structure and property maintenance lines item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 6-0, Jennifer. 10G, an additional appropriation referencing asset forfeiture funds for the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. Mr. Wagner.
Commonwealth Attorney Andrew Nestor is asking the board to approve an additional appropriation of $4,770 from state asset forfeiture funds to cover budget overages due to necessary overtime expenses and to purchase office equipment.
In regard to this additional appropriation, what is the desire of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the additional appropriation of $4,770 from state asset forfeiture funds for overtime expenses and office equipment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Is 6-0, Jennifer. 10H, an additional appropriation referencing return to locality funds for the Public Safety Department. Mr. Wagner.
Public Safety Director Matt Tatum is asking the board to appropriate $54,280 received from the Virginia Department of Health's return to locality funds. The return to locality funds are derived from a fee for each vehicle registered in Henry County. Authorized expenditures of the funds are for items such as emergency medical services training, supplies, and/or equipment. Currently, the funds are distributed equally between the volunteer rescue squads and the Department of Public Safety. Consistent with the distribution model, the 4 volunteer EMS agents are projected to receive $10,856 each, and Public Safety will receive $10,855 each.
All right. In regard to this additional appropriation, what is the desire of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the additional appropriation of $54,280 received from the return to locality funds.
Second.
Now, is this the 4 for Life funds?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other, there is a motion and a second. Is there any other questions or discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. That takes us to agenda item number 11, informational items. I will begin by taking comments from the board, beginning with Dr. Cobbler.
I don't have any at this time, thank you.
None at this time. Mr. Pruitt?
None.
Mr. Dillon?
No, sir.
Ms. Buchanan?
Well, with the July 4th holiday coming up, I just wanted to mention that in Fieldale, there is going to be a July the 4th parade. It starts at 9 a.m. on Thursday, July the 4th.
All right. Mr. Bryant?
No, sir.
And I don't have anything. Mr. Wagner?
If you're interested in a bit of trivia, today is the birthday of Virginia. 236 years ago, Virginia ratified its Constitution. So in celebration, next Thursday, July 4th is Independence Day. We'll celebrate our independence of our country. County and PSA offices will be closed, but our convenience centers and refuge sites will be open. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. That takes us to agenda item number 12. If someone will cite the items allowed by the Code of Virginia and the Freedom of Information Act, allowing us to go into closed meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go into closed meeting under 2.23711A1 for discussion of appointees to the Roanoke River Basin Association, 2.23711A7 for discussion of pending legal matters, 2.23711A3 for discussion of the acquisition disposal of real estate, and 2.23711A5 for discussion of as yet unannounced industries.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? It's 6-0. Jennifer, I'll see you all upstairs in 5 minutes. We have a closed meeting on a motion by Ms. Buchanan, second by Mr. Bryant. Mr. Powell, will you poll the board, please?
Yes, sir. Board members, to the best of your knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under Code of Virginia Section 2.2-3711 were heard, discussed, or considered in closed meeting. How do you vote, Mr. Evans?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bryant?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Buchanan?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dillard?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Cobbler?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pruitt?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pruitt, I believe you have a resolution in regard to a settlement for the board's consideration.
Yes, I move to approve the resolution of the Henry County Board of Supervisors dated June 25th, 2024, approving of the county's participation in the proposed settlement of opioid abatement or related claims against Kroger and its related corporate entities, and directing the county attorney and/or the county's outside counsel to execute the documents necessary to officiate the county's participation in those settlements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Is 6-0, Jennifer. Likewise, Mr. Pruitt, I think in consideration of some things in regard to our employees, I think that you may be bringing something for the board's consideration.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move to give the county employees July 5th as a county holiday since the 4th falls on a Thursday.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. Mr. Wagner, do you have any items of business that we need to conduct prior to a recess? Board members, do you have any? I will declare a recess. We will start promptly at 6 o'clock. I'll call the 6 p.m. session of the June 25th, 2024 meeting of the Henry County Board of Supervisors back to order from our recess from earlier this afternoon. I'd like to welcome all of our visitors. Remind you, if you want to address the board, you must sign up 7 days in advance of any of our regular meetings to be put on the agenda. The county administrator is the contact person for the board. However, the public may address the board under the agenda item matters presented by the public. Later in the meeting is agenda item 17, and that will be after our public hearings tonight. Again, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out and participating in your county government. Our first item that was on the evening agenda was agenda item 13. It got moved this afternoon early in the agenda because of some conflicts of scheduling of some of the players from Patrick and Henry Community College. And so we did present them with a resolution this afternoon, and certainly it's something to be proud of to have a group of young people representing our community so well. That takes us to agenda item 14, general highway matters. We have with us Lisa Hughes from VDOT. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. Just wanted to talk to you briefly about paving projects that we've got going on. Unfortunately, we have a lot of paving going on. Right now, we're getting the 220, the northbound lane, all the way from North Carolina line to the bypass. And we'll be paving in front of Drury Mason, and we've got to do some deep milling, so we'll be doing that on Saturday. And we'll be paving the ramps in Cloverleaf. We've got 57 in Kohler to pave, 57 in the Mountain Valley area to pave, and westbound lane of 58 east from the bypass to Daniel Road. So all that'll be in the next 30 days or so. We'll be working on all of that. We've got some work that we want to do there at Axton School, and we plan to start that project July the 15th. We've got lots of pipe we're putting in. One big project is across 58 there in front of Handy's Rentals, and look for that to happen. Also, July 15th, we'll be doing several traffic switches to get that pipe in. It goes across all 4 lanes. So that's the next big thing we have coming up. And that's all I have for you tonight.
Does anyone have any items for Ms. Hughes at this time? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 15, will conduct a public hearing on a rezoning application R-24-10, Jerry Cecil Stump. We have with us our Director of Planning and Zoning, Mr. Lee Clark. Mr. Clark.
Sure. This property is located at 2129 Reed Creek Drive, it's in the Reed Creek District. Tax map number 16540 is lot 9. The applicant's requesting the rezoning of approximately 1.6 acres from suburban residential district to agricultural district A1, and the applicant wishes to build some additional accessory buildings on the property. Following the public hearing, both the Planning Commission and staff recommended approval of this request.
I'll open the public hearing to take input on this rezoning application. Is there anyone desiring to address the board on this rezoning application?
Excuse me, I've never been here before. I would like to do this, but I'm not sure the process of how y'all work everything.
This is for a rezoning application.
I understand that. I understand what it was for. I mean, how to speak to you.
If you desire, come to the podium, state your name, the district in which you live.
This is for Reed Creek District, correct?
Yes, sir.
Where is this located at on Reed Creek Drive?
It's at the corner of Murray Hill and Reed Creek Drive.
And what is being done here?
It was discussed at length at the planning commission meeting, but it's rezoning for, at that address, where the gentleman, Mr. Jerry Cecil Stump, would like to add some additional storage buildings, especially one fairly large. He's going to tear down one storage building, replace it with another, and because the zoning of the property limits the size and the number of accessory buildings, and if it's rezoned to agricultural, it loosens that up to where he can build whatever size building that he wants to on there. At the planning commission meeting, it was decided that on 3 sides of that property is already surrounded by agricultural property, so the planning commission felt it was appropriate to recommend approval of this request.
So this.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. If you would please state your name and state.
Michael Lee Clark Jr.
And you're in what district?
Reed Creek.
Okay, sir.
So this is going to be where like you can rent your storage units and people can come in and put your stuff in, or is this personal use?
Personal use.
Will you enter this from Reed Creek or from Murray Hill?
His existing driveway.
Oh, well, then, sorry to waste your time. I thought we was talking more if somebody was trying to put something on Reed Creek or Murray Hill for it to be rented out, such as the storage units, and I apologize for wasting y'all's time.
Is there anyone else desiring to address the board on this rezoning application? Seeing and hearing no indication as such, I will close the public hearing at 6:05. Dr. Cobble, I believe this is in your district.
Yes. Motion.
What action would you desire to
Yeah.
take in regard to it?
Would like to make a motion. I lost my place here. Make a motion to approve the rezoning for the Jerry Cecil Stump
Second.
property.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. That takes us to agenda item 16, public hearing referencing amendments to the FY 2025 school budget and proposed real estate tax levy. Mr. Wagner.
On April 23rd, the Board of Supervisors adopted the fiscal year 25 school budget totaling $107,018,865. Subsequently, the state biennial budget was approved and favorably allocated an additional $11,279,096 for our school division. As a result, however, Henry County will need to provide an additional local match of $3,816,789. At a special meeting on June 11th, the Board of Supervisors discussed how to meet the school budget funding requirements and concluded to advertise a public hearing to receive citizen input regarding a possible increase in the real estate tax levy at a rate not to exceed 62 cents per 100. During that meeting, there were several options discussed of how to address this shortfall, including one, making cuts to other county departments, two, using the county's reserve funds to cover this shortfall, or three, raising taxes. As it relates to taxes, 1 cent increase on real estate taxes generates $313,000. So at the highest point, if you take action on this today at 62 cents per $100 evaluation, that will generate an additional $2,034,500 for the fiscal year 25 budget. Staff recommends that the board hold a public hearing to receive the citizen comments on the proposed amendment to the fiscal year 25 school budget and consideration of increasing the real estate tax rate. The public hearing has been properly advertised and scheduled for this meeting.
Thank you for that background, Mr. Wagner. I have a few additional comments. The additional funds provided by the state wasn't a total surprise. We knew it was going to come. It was just a matter of the state settling on a number. It was a welcome surprise to be funded to the degree that, and I'm sure it will go to good use. We have several school board members here tonight, and they're entrusted to making sure that it goes to good use. One of the key words that Mr. Wagner mentioned, and part of our things of consideration was indeed a proposed tax levy. Well, in our time from June 11th to now, I think the board has spoke with a number of different community members, have taken input, they have listened, and I am happy to say that I don't think that there's a single board member tonight that will support a tax increase. We will find this funding in another way. I know that that may come a little bit shock to some of you, because social media has run rampant with saying they're going to do this, they're going to do that. The money that they raised, I've seen figures over $9 million. Well, you heard 300 and some thousand per 1 cent, which equates well under $2 million if we were to levy the full amount. We're here to listen tonight, and we'll open a public hearing, and let me state a time, 6:10 p.m. The first person that signed in to speak tonight is Amy Blake Lewis, Reed Creek District. And I have a brief policy statement, if you'll allow me, before you begin.
Go right ahead.
This is a time for public comment. We welcome your participation in tonight's meeting. We're here to listen to you. By coming to the podium, please state your name. We know the subject matter. It's for this public hearing, and the district in which you live. By coming to the podium, you have agreed that you'll exhibit respect for the board, its members, and the staff. Please try to keep your presentation to no more than 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good evening. I'm Dr. Amy Blake Lewis, Superintendent of Henry County Public Schools, resident of the Reed Creek District. I'm here tonight to highlight information concerning school funding. First, I want to clarify for the public on the 1% sales tax referendum that became effective in 2021. This account has stipulations for the funds to only be used for new construction and major renovations. These funds cannot be used for general preventative maintenance. Currently, Henry County Public Schools has committed funds from the 1% sales tax for the construction of athletic field houses at both Bassett and Magna Vista High Schools. 1% sales tax funds have also been committed for construction of elevators at Drury Mason Elementary, Campbell Court Elementary, and George Washington Carver Elementary to ensure compliance with guidelines from the Americans with Disabilities Act. In the superintendent's estimate of needs that was presented to the supervisors at a joint meeting in March, I presented the findings from the most recent facility study. This study was performed by an outside agency. They identified preventative maintenance needs along with priority repairs that totaled nearly $40 million. These needs range from electrical switchgear replacements, heating and air conditioning replacements, to plumbing projects and parking lot pavement. The original budget request brought forth by Henry County Public Schools was $23,987,617. The approved budget from the Henry County Board of Supervisors was $21,635,583. With the revised approved budget from the state, the request from Henry County Public Schools to our local Board of Supervisors has not changed. We are asking for the same amount that we initially requested because our estimate of need remains constant. It has not changed. Local funding is essential in providing a facilities budget that can be leveraged to begin the preventative maintenance that was identified in the facility study. I will conclude with this. It is in the best interest of any community to have a thriving, vibrant school division. The school division serves to meet the physical, intellectual, emotional, and social needs of our children. When business and industry are seeking new areas for relocation or expansion, the quality of the school division is always a key factor and point of discussion. I commend the Board of Supervisors for the work you have done to attract business and industry thus far, but you must also be cognizant of the impact of the school division in that process of attracting lucrative business opportunities to Henry County, as we are an essential element in that equation. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker that signed in was Walt Shaw. Mr. Shaw?
You answered all of my questions, so I don't have any questions.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate the presentation.
Thank you. The next is Mary Martin.
Good evening, my name is Mary Martin, and I live in the Ridgeway District. And I heard about 2 o'clock this afternoon that this was what y'all want to do, but I came just in case what I heard wasn't true. So I'm very happy that you're not going to tax the citizens, because the tax increase this year on top of the reassessment next year would have been egregious to every taxpayer in Henry County. So I'm glad that you found another way to do it. And with your $40 million fund that you have, you know, I refer to that as the taxpayers' fund. That's their fund. You know, with the interest that draws in a year, this could be settled. But however you settle it, it's no taxes. I'm happy. Thank all of you.
The next speaker that signed in was Kelly Mann.
Thank you, that you have answered my questions as well.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mann. Okay, now I will continue by offering anyone that did not sign in an opportunity to speak at this public hearing. Is there anyone else desiring to speak at this public hearing? Anyone else? Seeing and hearing no indication as such, I will close the public hearing at 6:15. 2 board members have requested an opportunity to speak. Ms. Buchanan and Dr. Cobbler, you very specifically mentioned, so I'll take Ms. Buchanan first, and I'll allow the other board members opportunity as well. But Ms. Buchanan.
Okay. All right, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I do appreciate your interest in the government and what's going on in Henry County. When I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about this morning about 5 a.m., a lot of things went through my mind. But when Mr. Wagner presented the budget, neither he nor the school administration knew what the state was going to do in the way of funding. The Board of Supervisors has always been proud of the hard work that our educators have invested in our children. We're also mindful of the fact that the school board budget is approximately 65%, maybe plus, of the overall county budget. And with an additional $10 million that the state provided and $3.8 million that Henry County had to come up with to help improve the educational opportunities for our students. And we're happy with that. But when we were discussing the issue of raising taxes as much as an additional 5 cents per $100 of assessed value on real estate, I was concerned about the impact to those who own their own home. Approximately up to half of the homes in Henry County is considered rental property. So those that rent do not pay into the increased real estate, and additionally, the landlords have the option of raising the rent, so it can be a vicious cycle. The housing market is up right now, and some houses are selling at a premium. Henry County reassesses every 4 years, so when you receive your tax bill in the next year or two, it will look a little different. And in most cases, the assessed value of your home will probably go up, and so will your tax bill based on the tax rate. I do not see putting the person that owns their home or rental property or business through 2 rounds of a possible tax increase within a 2-year period. And I didn't think it was a good idea to take budgeted money away from public safety or law enforcement or any government agency or outside agency for that matter. So that's what my thoughts were.
Okay, Dr. Cobbler.
Yes, my thoughts are not as organized. I'm just reading from a bulleted list. So I'll just try to go through them quickly in random order with no structure in my thoughts. But first, also, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Since I've been elected, I have been going throughout the community in Reed Creek and in Henry County asking people, please come to the board meetings. We want to hear from you. It's great to see everybody out tonight for that. And I specifically want to thank all of my Reed Creek voters that are here tonight. I have also been participating in what I've been referring to as focus groups. And I have different sets of focus groups in Reed Creek, and I'm a former educator in Henry County, so I do know a lot of educators also. Some of my former students are in the school system, they're teachers and principals. And I vetted a lot of folks about this, and I will say that from the majority of what I've heard is that they would support what the board did. I received 1 email in supporting a tax increase. I got 1 direct message that said I don't have any children or grandchildren in the Henry County schools. And then I received another email addressed to the entire board. I'm saying that because a lot of people specifically have not individually reached out to me on this. It was also, and I want to be clear that I did not say that I was going to have a tax increase. The motion, it's in the minutes and you can find them on the website for Henry County Schools. Dr. Cobbler made a motion to set a public hearing for June 23, 24 at 6 p.m. to receive input from citizens on a proposed real estate tax increase and for the amount. So I also wanted to say that. Over time, we have received different reports mentioning these things. I do know the answer to the questions, but it's questions that I feel like that potentially our citizens are not aware. I keep hearing this figure that we have 36 million or we have 40 million, and then I hear we have 99 million in reserve. So to Mr. Wagner, I know I've asked this before, but in this situation, it has repeatedly come up about the amount of money that Henry County has in reserve. When we get the treasurer's report, we stated at other board meetings that it is debt services that we have reserve, and then we also have encumbered total. So what is that total? Is it 40 million or is it a different total?
So, as you know, the county receives income revenue from taxes and various fees charged on a daily basis. So the checking account, you might say, fluctuates on a daily basis. For example, real estate taxes are due on December 5th. So as you can imagine, in December 5th, our checking account would have a higher amount than it would on November 1st. of a year because of fiscal year. So there's a difference, that's called the unassigned balance, that's the checking account balance on any given month. So a portion of that money is allocated for certain purposes that we've already committed, either through contracts or grants or appropriations to the various departments that use it. So I'll give you an example. Today, 3 p.m. meeting, you made a commitment of $1 million to an economic development activity. So while that money is sitting in the checking account, that is a commitment that you've made that you can't spend because you've got a contractual relationship to pay that. In the month of June, a lot of there's purchase orders outstanding. There may be a purchase order for fuel for police cars that at a gas pump that might be $30,000 or $40,000, and that they put the fuel in the tank, but we hadn't paid the bill yet. So that's all assigned balance. So and I can go into more detail on that if you want. There is an unassigned balance of that money that's unencumbered that basically can be used at your discretion with some guardrails based on what this board has decided as a financial policy. Right? That's your unassigned balance. The most recent audit number indicated that there was $38,023,250 in the unassigned balance. All right. In 2017 into 2018, this board was looking to finance a new adult detention center. To get a good rating, to get a good bond rating, it's kind of like your credit rating for yourself as a bond rating for localities that's going to borrow money. This board established a financial policy to strengthen our bond rating. That financial policy said we would set aside a percentage of our operating budget into a reserve account. And there's one called reserve fund, and there's another 3% is called emergency reserve fund. But basically, we set aside 18% of our total budget in a reserve fund to meet our financial policy obligations. So keep in mind that this is a percentage of our budget, not a percentage of our checking account. Okay? So every year when the budget goes up, for example, in this case, we're getting just from the school system, from the state, we're getting an additional $11.2 million. That requires 18% of that amount to be set aside in a reserve fund to protect to abide by the board established financial policy to protect our credit rating. And let me talk briefly about our credit rating, why that's important. Granted, I'm not aware of anything on the horizon that we're going to borrow money for, but a good example of where that played value is in 2021, we recognized an opportunity to refinance the debt on the Meadowview School system, Meadowview School, and was able to lower our interest rates and save about $1 million over the life of that loan by refinancing. All right? Not that we have that opportunity at this point in time, but there may be an opportunity at a point in the future that we'll have an opportunity by protecting our bond rating to refinance some of the debt on other items that will save the county and the money in the future. Or at some point in the future, we need to build a fire station or an animal shelter. It may be an opportunity where we may need to borrow money to do that. That's why it's important to have a fund policy, a financial policy. So the other portion of the general fund is the basically, you can call it your discretionary money or unassigned. It's really not part of financial policy. It's not obligated to anything else. So on the most recent number we had from the audit was $14,005,511. That's essentially money that's not unencumbered and it's not committed to a financial policy. However, we did caution each of you during the budget presentation as well as a meeting on June 11th, because of the increase in the budget would require a larger portion of that money to be set aside and our reserve, our financial policy obligations. So just some quick math, assuming just increase the amount of available funds, and you can call it whatever you want to, the discretionary or the unassigned fund balance would drop from 14 million to $9,588,273. And you heard a presentation today about the assessments and some additional funding that would be needed for that perhaps to get those done. So we potentially pull those out of the general fund. But I trust that answered your question. Based on this change in the budget, we would anticipate to have, $9.5 million in that fund, and depending, it could go up or down, depending on how well we do on revenue collection, how well the treasurer does, new growth, property growth, savings throughout the year. We try our best not to spend money unless we need to spend money. So in those cases, there might be some savings that can go back into the checking account that's not unencumbered. But generally, we will see a drop in that number simply because the budget is increased. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. And everybody knows I love this job. I love this county. I appreciate what the state has done, what Governor Youngkin has done, the state has done in bringing more money back to our county. When it comes to those numbers, I do, because I'm talking about it so much, and thank you for answering that, because I still, your number was very different than the numbers that we've been hearing and seeing out in public. So I just, at the board meetings, I like to just go over that again, getting those numbers and getting an explanation of what they are. And that's basically it for me. Thank you for answering the questions, and that's all.
So, Mr. Wang, so being clear, you said there's $52 million total. You said 38, then you said 14.
So I did not say a number over 38.
Yeah, then you said 14. Is the 14 included in the 38 or separate from the 48, from the 38?
Above and beyond, yes.
So 52 million, that's unaccounted for.
No, it's all accounted for. So there's 38.
Well, it's unassigned. Because you said 38 million.
You wanted to violate your financial policies.
Well, not even getting into that. There's 38 million plus 14 million that's unassigned, regardless of the financial policy. Is that what you said, or? Okay. Because you said 38, then you said 14 million.
14 is the financial
38
policy.
million
Okay.
total, but 24 million of the 38 million
Okay,
is
gotcha.
reserved through the financial policy.
Okay.
So you take the 38 minus the 24, leave you 14 million in discretionary money.
So a total of 38, but two pots of 24 and 14. 14 is what we can pull from without affecting the credit rating.
Right.
Gotcha.
But that's going to decrease by nearly $3.5 million just due to the increase in the budget. So
Correct.
when that's done, you're down to $9.5 million.
Well, I just heard the 38, then I heard the 14. I didn't want to make sure, because I hadn't heard those two numbers before, wanted to make sure that they were together and not, separate numbers.
I don't want to dispute what you just said, but the numbers are in the audit that's been provided in the budget document.
No, but when you said the 38 million, and then you came back and mentioned that there was 14 million, I didn't know if you meant those were separate or not. So we're clear.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the question.
Mr. Bryant?
Yeah, I'd like to say a little bit. We six here are elected by the public to serve you on all matters. This is a matter that has come up that's a difficult matter to deal with. Anytime that you even talk about raising taxes is a difficult thing to talk about. The school board received, Mr. Wagner and his associates come up with a budget, and the budget was passed. And of course, we had no idea what the state was going to provide to the county, so we had to wait till the state provided to the county. And then when he did, we had to re-advise what we was doing, and of course, the school board did too. One thing that I want to say is that as a county supervisor, my job is to work for the county in a whole. The school board works for the school board. If that makes sense, that's what their primary goal is the school board system. My goal is to provide to the school board, to public safety, to the administration, and to all the other identities that we have to provide to. So we have to look out for all these other identities, not only the school board. So as Mr. Buchanan said, the school board gets about 65 to 66 of the total budget, percentage of the total budget in the county. The rest of that's left up to the supervisors to split up between public safety, the sheriff's department, county administration, all the other identities that goes along with funding that we fund during the year. So we have to be real tight on the money that we work with when it comes to dividing this money up. The school board receives a sufficient amount of money. It was $107 million thereabouts was the first proposed fiscal 25 budget. And of course now, as Mr. Wagner said, the state has come in, provided 11 point something million dollars more into the budget, which is there because state mandates us to provide a certain percentage of that into our budget. We had to raise up our amount that we put in on it also. So we talk about this uncommon fund balance that we've got in. I've been in business, my business 52 years, and we've had some terrible times in that 52 years. When the COVID come along, knock on wood, it was a blessing for us, but there was a lot of times that myself and my wife never took a paycheck for 4 years because the budget was so hard. There's such a thing as we call rainy day in layman's terms that we deal with, rainy day funds. And everybody knows what a rainy day fund is. You put your money back for those bad times that are coming because they're going to come. They may not come today, tomorrow, but you're going to have rainy days that's going to come. I use this uncommon fund balance as a rainy day fund. We use these when we have to use them as an emergency because there's going to be time, just like was said, we had to dip in $3 million extra to do this school board funding. The $1 million we just funded. If we start dipping into our uncommon fund balance and get into a point where we start taking out of it, our bond ratings is a AA bond rating, which is one of the highest bond ratings in the state of Virginia, probably in the country, that we can go into and get the lowest interest rates, period. If you start dipping in and start taking out of that, at some point in time, our fund balance is going to change, even if it changes a percent. Just a percent, that's going to raise your taxes up. You know, I mean, it's no way we can get by as supervisors to keep this county running without raising taxes. Now, what we've done today is we've come up with kind of an agreement with the supervisors that we will not do a tax increase for the fiscal year 25. We've got a reassessment coming out next year. Don't know exactly what it's going to be. I understand it may be a 45% increase in property values. Don't know about what tax is going to be. That's at another time and another place. But like I said, our job here as supervisors is to try to serve our community the best that we can and be good stewards of your money. You know, we don't waste money here. We are one of the only counties that I know of that can say that we've got such an uncommon fund balance right now, that we are safe. We are financially strong in this county because the supervisors work as a team to make sure that we keep a good balance in our uncommon fund balance and our savings and checkings account. You know, so this is what I want to tell everybody is that even though we have a school board, which we support our school board 100% in the things we do. I don't know that I've been on the board almost 14 years where I have not funded or did anything contrary to what the school board has asked us. You know, we have worked with the school board on just about everything that they've ever asked us for, as well as most other things. And they always tell me that when you do a budget, if everybody is basically unhappy, then you did a good job, because that means that you're right in the middle of it, and that's what we try to be. We try to be fair to both sides of the party, to do good. So that's all I got to say. And
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pruitt, if you want to offer some comments, I have a few comments after you offer some.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's all of our responsibility as community members, period, to be financial savvy and safe, and make sure the well-being of the county continues as it is. That's why we have these financial policies. That's why they were approved. So we have to keep within those regulations so everyone can live comfortably and not have to have tax increases or any of that. So very important, and I'll let you make your comments, but I have a motion to make.
May I say one thing? Yes. I can go either before or after you, it doesn't matter. I can go either before or after you. Yeah, well, and I mentioned this, when we had some other meetings, we're not in a bad situation. And I don't want us to feel doom and gloom and there's no money, and if we pull the money out, Henry County is going to fall apart, and we're going to have a major catastrophe tomorrow, and we're not going to be able to get through that. If we pull the money out, according to what Mr. Wagner said, there's still $9.5 million that's totally available for us to use. There's $24 million that is in the account to make sure we keep the credit rating. And I would assume that over time, we're going to generate more revenue, so those funds are going to increase. So I don't want it to, I'm actually glad and proud of, the folk who were here and been here for a while, that they have put us in a situation, we have options. And Mr. Bryant, you mentioned as a businessman, you want options. If I need to borrow the money, I can borrow the money. If I want to take it from unassigned, I can take it from unassigned. If I have to go to a last resort tourniquet option, taxes is that option, but we don't have to go that route. So I think, you all need to be commended for putting us in a situation like this, so when those, I don't want to call the school system getting such a great amount of funds from the state a rainy day, but when those unexpected things happen, we're prepared for that, and I think we should be commended for that. And I'm thankful that we do have options, and we can make sure our students and the staff have what they need. The sheriff's department will get what they need. Public safety will have what they need. The county workers, and we actually have a few more dollars if we want to try to lure some businesses here, or put something extra in Parks and Rec. So we're in a really good situation, and I think we should all be proud of that, thankful for that, and celebrate Henry County. Let's make this a celebratory moment and not a doom and gloom, filling moment.
Thank you. And I agree, we're not in a bad situation, but purposely, our finance area, our county staff has done a remarkable job, and we got tremendously good advice from our financial advisors. I was one that made a trip, and we went to 3 different bond houses, Fitch, Moody's, and S&P, and consistently, this was back 7 years ago, I think, in the month of June. Wasn't as hot as today, but consistently they told us that our county was as solid as any county that they could name. We were going into bond houses. The governor of Mississippi was coming out. We went to the next one, had an appointment later. He was there. So we were on the highest level that we could get with financial oversight. And then, of course, they came out with a bond rating. Borrowing money, that was one of the purposes, with the adult detention center, to get the best possible rate. But the surprise, I guess, to me this year is when we actually had the budget presentation, that part of what helped us gel the budget together was we had, through the financial policies, gained $1 million in interest. That allowed us to do some things in the current budget that otherwise, again, where do you find it? How do you fund? What do you cut? And I commend the staff for creating a budget that starts with a 0 line item. It's not just an automatic that you're going to get it next year if you're in a department. And we have some department managers here tonight. The sheriff can speak to this. They grill him just as hard as they grill the other managers, correct? And he has to come up with the why. Not just, it's not an automatic. They scrutinize expenses. And I'm thankful for the departments that don't go and have a spend down. Well, if I don't spend it down, I won't get it next year. That is the wrong way to manage a business. That is the wrong way to manage money, and particularly if we're entrusted with the public. I agree with the speaker tonight. This is the public's money. But if we are, as groups, having our mindset, well, we'll spend it down, and or we won't get it next year, or that type of thing. Again, a bad way to go about business from a business standpoint. There should be a better stewardship of money. How did we get here tonight? We know education's vital to the community. I disagree with anyone that says it's not, just because they may or may not have children or grandchildren. It's vital to a community to have a well-educated community. It just proves dividend after dividend to involve children as well as the adults and the support groups in our education system. Some of the things in consideration of not going the route of tax increase. We all don't make the same income. In Dr. Cobbler's district, in my district, we passed 2 different areas that have them lined up because of food insecurities. The school system faces that on the regular basis, food insecurities. And so thus you got free lunch, you got summer programs that because of potential food insecurities will allow them to be a part of the community as a school system. And I realize some of this is paid through grants, but that's the community that we're living in. An aging demographic is another thing. Baby boomers, 1945 to 1960. You all can do the math. Those 1945 are approaching 80 as quick as they can get there. And hopefully they go well beyond that. But that is our community. The baby boomer being the largest segment of births over a 15-year span that's ever been. I think all of us are proud of our school system, what it provides as far as the benefits to the community, not only in the sports programs, education, just the whole vitality of the community. And I'm proud to say that we have, at least tonight, an option because of financial policies to go a route other than tax increases. Mr. Pruitt, I believe that you had asked for an opportunity to provide a motion.
Yes, sir. I make a motion to amend the fiscal year 25 school budget by increasing state and local funds by $12,949,052, which includes $975,845 from the general fund reserves.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, when we met last week, a couple weeks ago, we talked about 3 or 4 different options, and the 975, that was the lowest option, correct?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
And we talked about the possibility of 1.5, 1.8 million that we would offer for the school system. Is that correct?
I think that was discussed.
That was discussed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so so this is the lower end. This is basically just what the state requires us to give based off of the funds, the new funds that the school system received. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I think that that is correct. Yes.
Okay, so this would be the least amount. So you know, we've discussed, you know, the importance of education, and the state of Virginia is giving the school system additional funding, but Henry County is looking at meeting the minimal amount to fund the schools. So I think we have to go back and reassess some of those comments about the importance of school and, you know, the importance of how schools bring folk into the community, and we want to have an educated population, and we want to make sure that our students are best prepared when they go off, because, you know, we're planning, or a motion is being made to offer the least amount that we have to offer to our school system. And I think we have to really consider that along with what we've said. And, you know, as a youngster, I was always told to put your money where your mouth is. And I think if we say these things and say the school system is valuable, it's important, it's the biggest part of our bridge that we, you know, use as an analogy for our budget, then we have to, you know, show that with action. And, you know, adding another $900,000 or even another $1 million to that, we know that's not going to hurt us, because we've talked about, you know, having $38 million, and $14 million of that is unused, could be used for whatever we need to use it for. You know, we've agreed to give $1 million towards a shell building that may sit for a while that may not bring in any revenue. We've agreed to give $1 million possibly to a, you know, local company as a, you know, just as a incentive. So we can use the funds. We use the funds, and when we use it for things of that nature, but not use it for the school system, you know, then we have to go back and ask ourselves, are we really saying that the school system is the most valuable or a valuable asset of our community? Do we really value the school system as much as we say we do? So that's, you know, my thoughts on that, and just wanted to make sure I mentioned that before a vote was made. And, you know, regardless of how I vote, I want the school system to get their money, and I know that they will get it one way or the other, but I also believe that, you know, we have to really, you know, assess how much we're giving the school system so they can operate as efficiently as possible.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It is 5-1, Jennifer.
And my oppose is not about giving the school system the money, is about not giving the school system enough money, or the funds that, you know, we've discussed, and meeting, like I said, putting our money where our mouth is. And that's where my opposing, you know, that motion comes from.
That takes us to agenda item 17, matters presented by the public. Is there anyone wishing to address the board under matters presented by the public? Yes, sir. If you'll, the same policy, if you'll come, state your name and.
My name is James Cox, and I'm in the Irish Wood District. I don't know whether this is appropriate to ask this question or put this out there at this time, but I want it to be said because it's the way I feel. It's been said that we're going to be reassessed over the upcoming year. My understanding is that we may be bringing in an outside firm to do the assessments in the county. I don't think that's appropriate, because any outside firm that comes in here is not going to know the people, they're not going to know the county, they're not going to know the land values, they're not going to know the economy, they're not going to know what is valued here and what is not. I think that, and I don't know who's responsible for hiring that outfit. I don't know whether I'm talking to the right folks or not. This is the only place I know I've got a voice, so I step up and say it. That's basically what I have to say. I am pleased that you have decided not to do the tax increase. I actually sent Mr. Dillard an email this afternoon stating my views on that, and my views on that were, if we need a tax increase, okay, if we need to fund schools, if we need to do funding in the county, that's what has to be done. But you don't do it without knowing what the real deal is going to be, which is exactly what Ms. Buchanan brought forth. when they reassess the value and they take, and this, Mr. Bryant brought up 45%. Well, there may be a civil war in Henry County if they raise the values of our property by 45%, because I don't feel like my land is worth 45% more than what it is today. We are all seeing and hearing what's going on in the neighboring counties. I think everyone would agree that the neighboring counties, in a lot of cases, the economy is a lot better than it is in Henry County. The job situation is a lot better than it is in Henry County. The hourly wages that are being paid in some areas of the county. There's lots of things to say why property values should jump in one area and not in another. I just feel like that we need to be sure that we get a fair assessment and not just an assessment. Thank you for your time.
Are there others wishing to comment on the matters presented by the public? Seeing and hearing no indication of anyone else desiring, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. Everyone have a good evening.